Welcome to a BCACC Matters of the Mind presentation. Today we have Zakia doing a presentation on Behind Office Doors, the Hidden Mental Costs of Toxic Workplaces. Zakia Ovington is a registered clinical counselor, not only with the BCACC, but also a licensed counselor in the Washington Department of Health and a member of the Canadian Certified Counselors. Zakia comes with over 20 years of corporate experience and has transitioned from the corporate world into the world of wellness. Zakia combines her unique business insights with a dedication to emotional well-being, and we are so happy to have you here, Zakia, to bring this topic forward because we've heard from so many people that this is something that they just really want to know more about. So that's what we're hoping to bring forward tonight. Quickly, I will talk about the BCACC. So we are the Association for Registered Clinical Counselors in British Columbia. It's the largest association of counselors, and our members carry the designation RCC. So you can see that logo on the screen, and that basically just means they've met the highest standard in education, ethical conduct, all the good things in terms of bringing counseling forward to the people of BC. And this presentation is a Matters of the Mind presentation because we recognized it's a really lovely opportunity to bring forward important topics to the people of the province. So that's what we're doing here. And I would like to take a moment to acknowledge the lands that I'm coming from. So I'm coming from the lands of the Lekwungen-speaking people, known today as the Assanges and the Esquimalt nations. Welcome, Zakia.
Thank you, Nikki. And it's lovely. There's so many folks on the call. So what I want to do is just jump right into the presentation. And if you have questions, please put them on the chat. And I promise by the end of our session today, I will address most of them. First, I want to say thank you to BCACC for giving me the opportunity to talk about this. This is something I am so very passionate about. After 20 years in tech, I was ready to like really sink my teeth into this and have a discussion because we don't have safe places to have these conversations. So many thanks to BCACC for making this happen. So a little bit about me. I've been tech for 20 years, companies like Microsoft, Oracle, Salesforce. And then after 20 years, I call it my first retirement. I decided to go into the caring profession to actually give back to folks like myself in industries like technology and finance and law and healthcare and all the other industries that are really underserved by workplace well-being. And I'm passionate about work and human well-being. That is like one of my biggest goals. And also asking big questions about what it means to be human in a world focused on productivity. I have my private practice. It's futurefocusedtherapist.com. You can email me at Zakia at Future Focus Therapist or give me a call at that number. No, enough about me. Let's go here. So here's the topics that we're going to cover. Nature of workplace toxicity, what are the psychological effects of it, what to do. This was huge. A lot of the questions that I got was, Zakia, I'd like you to give me some coping skills, and promise the coping skills are not going to be meditate. It's going to be really impactful and on point. And then some Q&A. So to start, this is a pretty important number, 86,000. That's about 43 years of your life is going to be spent working. So you want to make sure that that 43 years is a safe place, because if it isn't safe or you don't feel safe in that place, it has huge repercussions to your mind and your body. So here are some numbers about workplaces. 45% of Canadians have experienced bullying in the workplace. 43% have experienced harassment and discrimination, and 44% violence in the workplace. 94% of people who are transgender have experienced transphobia. 60% of women have experienced sexual harassment. And 66% of people have had workplace racism that includes racial slurs, racial comments, So these numbers are horrendous. That means that in this group, if you have a group of 10 people, about 5 of us, right, 4 to 5 of us have experienced some kind of workplace trauma. This 17,865, the number of workplace homicides, that's the worst case scenario. So if you had a spectrum of, hey, the guy, looked at me funny to, or my boss, calls me names, all the way to workplace homicides. Like the spectrum is vast. And in the worst case scenario, you had about 17,865 people die in the last 20 years. So what is the nature of workplace toxicity? And this is a definition I put together by kind of putting little pieces that I read across multiple industries and multiple, reports that I have read. A toxic workplace is an environment in which negative behaviors, attitudes, and actions are pervasive and consistent, leading to psychological turmoil and physical repercussion for its employees who are used like material resources. So a company is thinking about making money, and you are just a material resource. And this environment creates negative, this is a negative environment that has negative attitudes and actions. So it happens everywhere. It not only happens in your workplace, and I'm sure of the 40 people that are on the call, think about your workplace. Here's in a large scale how it has an impact on people. I'm sure everyone heard about Wells Fargo and the toxic work environment that was at Wells Fargo. And the salespeople were pressured so much in this toxic work environment that many of those folks actually ended up creating fictional bank accounts without customer consent. And about 2 million fraudulent accounts were opened. And in the end, the toxic culture fell on the frontline employees. So the frontline employees, 5,300 people were laid off because they were considered bad apples without acknowledging the toxic culture that actually created this immense lie. So what are some signs of toxic work cultures? I kind of grouped them into 5 categories. First one is harmful social dynamics. So what is harmful social dynamics? This is cliques, excessive competitiveness, favoritism between managers and employees, gossiping and rumors, and cutthroat environment. And you're going to hear a lot of this, and you're going to reflect back on your own work environment and just check in to see if it really resonates with you. Are you in an environment where there are lots of cliques and you're not part of that clique? Is your manager choosing favorites, right? Are there gossips and rumors? Is it a cutthroat environment where it is sink or die? Emotional and psychological impact, right? You're being silenced. You're being micromanaged. Your boss is a narcissist. Do you feel completely burnt out and overworked? And there's an immense sense of job insecurity. Even though you have a union job and you know you love it, you still feel like, oh my God, any moment now, this is going to be taken away from me. There's a huge impact on your psychology and your emotion and your mental health if that's happening to you. Discrimination and inequality, racism, sexism, ableism, non-inclusivity, discrimination. We live in a very politically charged environment at the moment, and that seeps into the workplace. And if you feel that you're constantly putting out racial fires or sexist fires, it is a toxic work culture. Structural and role issues, lack of respect, role conflict, role ambiguity, intrusions, intimidations, and that if you're like, my job description says this, but I'm doing 20 different things in addition to what my job description says. My boss is asking me to do his job when he's not around, and I'm not getting anything out of it, and I'm not getting more pay. You just feel like, what is my job again? Then we have explicit misconduct, and this is threats of violence, harassment, sexual harassment, unethical practices. Just my own personal experience, there was this time when I was in tech, I went into a meeting with a voice recorder because I didn't know where this meeting was going. I didn't feel safe. And I was like, I remember talking to my partner at that time, saying like, I'm going to do this. I feel unsafe going into this environment, but I couldn't tell anyone. And I felt really isolated and alone. So just explicit misconduct is a sign of a toxic work culture. So here are some quotes from real people. This blows my mind. I've heard everything, right? This one is from if you don't have a good cry in the office at least once a week, then you're not working hard enough. I love that one. Every year, at least one person dies because of a heart attack. Some of them are so close to retirement. This one has a sexual innuendo, so this might be triggering for a few folks. Why don't you come sit on my face? It was a sexual comment. My boss makes me doubt my own reality. You'll say one thing one day and completely deny the next. You're lucky to be a part of the team, so act like it. I would love for you to go on chat and tell me what you have heard in your work environment that just completely floored you. Like, I can't believe that this is my work environment and I heard this. So take a moment and put that in the work environment. Put it in the chat. Yeah, I love that one. Thank you, Megan. Your boundaries are not your own. Blows my mind. Oh my goodness. Yes, you look so pretty when you cry. That breaks my heart. Thank you, Jem. Yeah. It is ridiculous. You're passive aggressive. Yeah. Yeah, putting boundaries is passive aggressive. It's interesting. I've actually heard that very often when it's like, quotes around reverse racism, quotes or like when it's reversed onto you, you are passive aggressive and you say, man, you're being aggressive. The quote back is you're passive aggressive. It's like, yes. So we hear all sorts of things in the workplace that really blows our mind. So I want to the reason I wrote this out is for you to know what the Canadian Center for Occupational Safety talks about workplace bullying. How do they identify workplace bullying? So it's spreading malicious rumors, gossip, or innuendo, isolating someone socially, intimidating a person, undermining or deliberately impeding a person's work, physically abusing or threatening abuse. Seen this often in construction and mining, where people are really isolated for long periods of time or have to go to camps for very long periods of time. And people have no option. They are in this isolated environment and they are threatened abuse. Removing areas of responsibility without cause. This happens so many times. You might be in a union and they can't remove you out of role. So they end up removing areas of responsibility, constantly changing your work life guidelines, establishing impossible deadlines that will set you up for failure, withholding information, purposely giving the wrong information, making jokes that are obviously offensive, either through word or email or text, intruding on a personal privacy by spying, pestering, or stalking, assigning unreasonable duties, underwork. So that this one, I love this one because people don't think of it. They make you feel really useless at work. That is a form of bullying. Yelling and using profanity, unwarranted or undeserved punishment, blocking applications for leave or training and promotions, or tampering with your personal belongings or work and equipment. So I highly recommend everyone to go take a look at the Canadian Center for Occupational Safety. They have some amazing content on workplace toxic cultures, and what your rights are in Canada. So why do I talk about all that? I talk about that because every single item that I just discussed has has a psychological effect. Right? It has a psychological effect because when you go into the office, this is what you're seeing, right? And imagine this is what you're seeing. This is how your body experiences your workplace. Because it's almost like there is a bear that is chasing you or a lion that's chasing you all the time. And imagine around this lion are eggshells, and you are not supposed to crack even one. So you can imagine what your body actually goes through. So um, I want I want to share this slide. Um, Let me see. And bear with me 1 minute. Just give me a minute. And okay, there we go. This slide is a lot, but bear with me. I'm going to explain it. So this is how your brain and body experiences this threatening environment. And we'll go through it line by line for a moment. So when you feel safe at work, this is where you are. You're calm, you're connected, you're grounded, you're curious, you're open, you're compassionate. You don't have any defensive responses. Imagine hanging out with a group of people that are like-minded and you're all getting work done together. It feels really safe. You're connected, you're safe, and you're oriented towards the environment around you. Like you're in beautiful green pasture and just hanging out, and you want to socially engage with people. You want to create new things. You want to rest. You feel healthy. You have the ability to relate and connect. You move your eyes and you turn your head and you breathe. Like when you feel safe, you actually breathe. And so now you go to work. When you walk into work and you see this, all right. Nikki, I got a text saying that there's no picture. Do you not see a picture?
I see it. Do other people see it? No? Thumbs up if you see
Okay.
it.
Okay, great. I think yeah, people see it. People see it.
Okay. I will do some problem solving for you.
Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you. Okay, so the next one is, okay, when you walk into the office and you see this lion coming at you or walking in, your body basically kicks into fight or flight. So what you experience is, oh my God, I'm the zebra, I'm being chased by a lion and I need to save myself. And you feel frustrated, you feel irritated, you feel angry, and even rage at times because you're ready to fight this bear or this lion. This lion's coming at you, you're ready to fight it. And then you run because you realize first thing you do is you run, right? You move away from this lion, but you can't, you're in a closed work environment. Right? And how you experience the sense of flight is panic, fear, anxiety, worry, and concern. Like, oh my God, am I going to lose my job? Oh my goodness, I have that one-on-one with my boss. Oh, do I have to really go to this team meeting? What am I going to do? I'm going to be judged for this presentation that I'm going to meet. Some level of anxiety is okay, but when you feel this fight, flight all the time, your body goes into hyperarousal. And you run, but by the time the lion catches up with you, you go into fight, which is where you get frustrated, irritated, angry, and rage. Most of the time when I see my clients, they are somewhere between fight and freeze because they're like, I'm angry, I can't get anything done. I'm going to leave this job. I am going to do something about it. So when you're in fight and flight, you're basically getting heart palpitations, adrenaline kicks in, your defense responses are on. So you're taking that meeting with your boss and you're sweating profusely, and that's your body in complete flight and fight mode. So you figure out this fight and flight is not sustainable. I've been doing it now for 6 months. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. So next thing you do is you play dead. This is what we call freeze. You feel helpless, you feel hopeless, there's shame, you feel numb, you feel depressed. Some of us just disassociate. We show up to work, and when we show up to work, we're not even there. our mind is somewhere else, right? So this is where we just immobilize. We just want to lay down, we show up to work, and we just keep quiet. We don't breathe very much. Everything, like our heart rate decreases. We don't engage with people. We don't see our partners. We don't want to engage with them. Immune responses, like people get sick a lot when they are in this stage. And there's real impact to your body because you cannot stay in freeze and fight and flight for too long because your body takes a toll. So where we want to be is here in social engagement. We want to be curious and open. We want to be compassionate and mindful. But guess what? We're not. When we are in toxic work environments, our window of tolerance. So this is our window, right? This is where we are calm and collected. And this is normal, right? Life goes by and then we have these peaks and valleys, but most of the time we kind of hang out here. I'm calm enough to learn. And then, we see the lion and then we feel threatened and we feel unsafe. Or we run, we get flustered and we get avoidant and then we freeze. So this is how life should be. Life should be like this. I wish my life was like this, right? You are most of the time you're in your window of tolerance. You can handle it. You keep going up and down. There are moments where you go up into fight, flight, and there are moments you feel freeze, but most of the time are here. By the time clients come to me, they're here, right? They're angry, they're upset, they've been here for months, if not years. And they feel really, really trapped. Or they're here where it feels like, I don't know, it feels hopeless and helpless and numb. And they're just really emotionally lost. So what are some symptoms of toxic workplaces? Okay. And the reason I want to go through this is want to validate how you're feeling. I remember when I was going through this, I thought I was alone in this world going through this. I am a people pleaser, and I used to be. I used to be a people pleaser, and I wanted everything. I was a perfectionist. I wanted everything. I knew if I worked hard enough that I could push through anything. But at the same time, I also lived a second life, which was that, I was going through a lot of emotional and psychological strain. I was feeling jittery, on guard, even without a history of anxiety and depression, panic attacks for the first time, worry constantly and couldn't stop thinking about work. Whatever you do, it's never enough. You've basically lost all joy and you hate to go to work even if you still love it. That's right. Yeah. So emotional and psychological. I mean, people they love what they do. They just are in a toxic work culture that doesn't allow them to do their best work. Like physical health issues, you're not properly eating, constant headaches, losing weight or gaining weight. You don't sleep, you have no energy. I have clients that are losing hair in clumps. They have heart palpitations, and thank you, Lynn. Like body hives, it's just this immense pressure on your body. And you're almost like disconnected from your body and your mind. You're like a floating head because you're no longer connected to your body because of these physical health issues. Relationship struggles. Your friendships are struggling. Your marriage is falling apart. Your kids don't want anything to do with you because when you come home, you're angry. You're in that rage stage because your family's worried, you stop engaging in extracurricular activity. Your boss yells at you frequently and you're okay with it. Like your relationship gets really skewed. You try so hard to impress the people at work that you have nothing when you go home. And you also show avoidance behavior. You hate to go to work. You feel like you're in a bubble. You try to make yourself invisible so that your boss won't single you out. You find yourself putting on an act and telling your boss whatever they want to hear. And many of us abuse substances to cope, right? Because there isn't a safe place, and work isn't a safe place. And you spend 43 years of your life at work. Some of us, because we're working so hard, we are putting that extra effort, like we're doing 165% at work because we want everything to go back to normal. And that extra 65%, we have nothing left by the time we come home. Okay, so toxic workplaces, there is what's on the bottom. Like you have your employee engagement, you're engaging, you're an employee, you're doing the best. In this toxic workplace where you have racism, sexism, like all sorts of toxic environment behavior, but underneath that iceberg, you are slowly dying. And it's interesting, it took me a while to get it in my mind that basically sacrificing my body now, like I'm taking days, if not months, on the other end of my life. Because all of this harm that we do to our body when we are in this workplace, work environment, we're not, it's causing us pain now. But more than anything, it's taking away from our life in the future. Because we can tolerate it now. We're what, in our 40s, in our 50s. But by the time we are in our 70s and 80s, you will see people with heart conditions. Women have issues, cystic fibrosis, polycystic fibrosis. Women suffer considerably. Men, they have relationship issues in the future. They have heart attacks, sleeplessness. We just take we take away from our life in the future. So, but some of us are more prone than others. And I want to spend some time to talk about this. So some of us have had adverse childhood experiences, right? Our childhoods make us sometimes more prone to this feeling of it hits us a little bit harder. It kind of is a little bit more sharper when it hits us. So if you were a kid and you experienced physical violence, sexual abuse, parental neglect, emotional abuse, or your parent or parents were using substances, or it was, has addiction, it hits you a little bit different. So if you have adverse childhood experiences, how you might experience this might be degrees greater than how the general population might. Or you're different. As an employee, you're perceived to be different based off of race, gender, age, religion, disability, sexual orientation, personal traits. Like right now, if you are of the Islamic faith or of the Jewish faith, there's warnings going out that be careful, right? Even in your work environment because of what's happening in the Middle East. So or if you are transgender, 94% of transgender folks have faced transphobia at work. So if you are any part different than the general population, you are more prone to being in toxic work cultures. I want to also introduce this concept called identified patient. Identified patient is a concept in family therapy. And what happens is when mom and dad are not getting along, what usually happens is that tension between mom and dad needs to be released somewhere in the system. And it is often released into children. So you might see like favorite one, the black sheep, the difficult one, the loser. And often one person, the family system picks one person that gets the brunt of the negativity, the scapegoating, and becomes the sponge. Basically, the lightning rod that absorbs all negativity. If you are one of those people, it's almost like it doesn't matter what happens where, the anger basically gets released onto you. So if you have a therapist, you should talk to your therapist about, hey, I think I might be the identified patient because no matter what happens in our company, I feel like I'm getting blamed. And if you feel that way, most likely you are getting the brunt of the negativity. And it is a concept in therapy that, you should spend some time to go into. Next one is codependency traits or people pleasers, right? Some of us, we want everyone to love us and we want everyone to be happy. And in the pursuit of that happiness, we kind of give up a lot of our own rights and give up a lot of our own needs. So if we have codependency traits where someone is treating us badly, but we kind of accept it because we love that person or we care about that person. So if we have those traits, likely that you're more prone to being in toxic work cultures and getting the brunt of it. The last one is like change in life circumstances, divorce, death, illness, trauma. If any of these things you have gone through any of these things while you're at work, work really doesn't know how to handle with it. Like your boss might not know how to handle your divorce or death in the family or an illness or if you suffered some trauma. They just don't. Humans don't know how to handle with this stuff. So rather than engage and be supportive, they tend to distance or if not isolate you from the group. So it's a very mammalian behavior where we're like, oh, that person is not, fitting right. So we're just gonna separate them. And it shows up over a period of time. So some of us are more prone than others. If you have any of these traits, then just be mindful that you might be a bit more prone than other people in the general population. Okay, so sure everyone's going like, what do I do? Okay, so some immediate coping skills. Educate yourself. Like go to the Canadian organization of what's that? The Society of Occupational Safety. Go there, educate yourself, know and understand the environment you're in. Learn about harassment, learn about bullying. What are your rights as an employee? Understand workplace toxicity, narcissistic bosses, and bullying. Like educate yourself so you don't feel like this is your burden. It is something that most everyone talks about. Lots of content's been written about it, so you don't feel surprised. The next thing is stop being surprised, please. Because what I would like you to know is like often clients come to me, it's like, I can't believe it. I told my boss I couldn't do it, but then he writes me up for not doing it. I gave him 2 months notice. This is a moment to be like, face reality. Create some distance and see this for what it is. It is a dysfunctional, toxic, and abusive work environment. It is not going to change, and you may need to get out. We don't need to get out anytime soon, but know, like, stop being surprised and just face reality that you are in a horrible environment. And this one's another important one, keep a factual journey or direct diary of events. I tell my clients this all the time. The date, the time, what happened, as much detail as possible. Who are the people involved? If there are witnesses, write their name down. Not that you're going to do anything with it, but sometimes it's good to just check your own reality. Because most of these environments completely gaslight you. There's a moment where you're like, oh, this makes sense. And then the next day, it's like your entire reality is like, oh, did that really happen? Why is my boss acting like nothing happened? So it's just good for you to write down in a journal what is exactly happening within your organization for your own mindset. But if in the future you want to take action, you want to report, or you want to go talk to your union, lead, or you want to go talk to a lawyer, or whatever it is, you don't have to do anything. But if you choose to in the future, this is really, really helpful. And it really empowers you to know that your story is genuine. The last thing I will say is from an immediate coping skill is don't try too hard, right? Do your 100%, not your 165%. Many of us, when we're in this environment, we work even more. I have been there. not only was I putting 165% in, I was putting in 300%. I know 300% doesn't exist, but I was working so much. Remember, eating my meals in front of my PC, working so much. And my partner was like, babe, you coming upstairs for dinner? Nope, just bring dinner down. Because I was working so hard. I would go to bed at 3 a.m., wake up at 7 a.m., and get into meetings at 8 a.m. So just do your 100%. Do what is absolutely vital to your job or your ethics, or you'll burn out in this Alice in Wonderland world. Take care of yourself, breathe, meditate, go for a walk. Give the 65% additional percent to yourself. Like, give it to yourself, because this toxic work culture doesn't deserve that extra 65%. And even if you did give it to them, they're not benefiting from it because they don't care. So do your 100%. Just don't try too hard. So educate yourself. Stop being surprised that this crazy Alice in Wonderland world exists. Don't try too hard, and keep a factual journal and diary of events. So immediate coping skills. Next one is short-term coping skills, right? Short-term coping skills, reality check. Where possible, turn to friends, your partner, other people in your field who have similar experiences and know about the culture or company you work in. They may be able to offer feedback and support. Now, this reality check isn't a place, like, it's almost like you have a couple of teammates and you check in with the teammate, like, did you see that meeting? Was that me? Like, that crazy? Just get like a reality check. Talk to your friends, talk to your partners, other people in the field. I love the other people in the field, because usually companies are such that everyone moves around from one company to the other. So most likely, if you've experienced this culture, other people have also experienced this culture. So get some reality checks. Second one, find an outside mentor, coach, or a therapist. Preferably, this relationship has to be confidential. The first reality check one doesn't have to be confidential, right? You're just checking reality. If it's just all in your head, which it isn't, I'm telling you now, it is not in your head. The second thing is this: when you find an outside mentor, coach, or therapist, this relationship has to be confidential, because you need to be able to talk freely about how you're feeling. You need someone, like with a therapist, if you end up sending those notes to HR, and you need to send it to a lawyer, your therapist can actually provide you with a support letter for all the effort you put into to survive this toxic work environment. So make sure that relationship is confidential. Same thing with a mentor. Don't find a mentor within your work group. Find someone outside. So if you're in the mining industry, don't go find it in the work group that you're in. Go find someone else outside the mining from your mine work. Same thing with your construction group. Don't find someone within your architectural firm. Find someone in another architectural firm. A coach is also wonderful. A coach can really help you learn about healthy, unhealthy, and abusive environments, and also be able to advise you. The next one is like fit in where you can, or at least try not to stand out until you get out. Right? Try not to stand out. If everyone wears blue jeans, you wear blue jeans. If everyone leaves their office door open, you leave it open. Don't find it this moment when everything is chaos to create more chaos. Psychologically, just go along, just do what everyone else is doing while you have that window of tolerance, like you can open that window a little wider so that you can cope with whatever is happening. And behave as if you are calm and confident, even if you don't feel it. Leave your little kid at home and only take your adult self to work. This is harder than it sounds. And I know, because you've been sold on the work family. You've been sold on, hey, we are kumbaya, we are ohana. And it's not true. And so that part of you that really wants a home, you have to put that part and leave him or her at your home and just bring in that adult self into work, because this is not a safe home. So short-term coping skills is do a reality check, find an outside mentor, coach, or therapist, fit in where you can, right? So if everyone brings in tuna fish sandwiches for lunch, bring in tuna fish sandwiches for lunch. Don't stand out and behave as if you're calm and confident. I know how hard it is, but just, behave as if. And then when you're ready, and this is the hard part, is that this journey is not going to happen overnight. It's going to take time, is to have some self-compassion. Like really be kind to yourself. You didn't do this. And having self-compassion helps give confidence so that you can take your power back and construct and strengthen your sense of self. And this is so very important because way too often when I get clients, they're so hard on themselves. Only if I worked harder, only if I went to that meeting, only if I went off that offsite, only if I didn't say anything. And it's hard. It's hard in that moment to be like, this was really hard for me to do. I did it, but it was really hard for me to do. So have some self-compassion and set boundaries. And I know people don't want to hear this too, but setting boundaries is really to keep your work life separate from your personal life. Like if I look back, I would have done it a little different. I think I would have set firmer boundaries, but when I think of boundaries, they don't have to be firm. They can be small, little, tiny boundaries or big boundaries, right? Little ones is you don't need to show up at work at 6 a.m. You're expected to be at work at 8, so be there at 7:50. When you're done at 5, you leave at 5, right? So set these tiny micro nano boundaries, and it'll really empower you and build that muscle on how to build boundaries. The next one is acceptance. Like you need to accept that you hate your job. Accept that it's not going to get better despite how many good days you might randomly have next week or next month. So acceptance is the hard one because especially some of us who are prone to those conditions, we really want to be loved. We really want to be cared for, and we really want to give our 110%. So for us to accept that things are not going to get any better is really, really hard. So that'll take process. It'll take steps. You'll be supported by your coach, by your mentor, by your therapist, and create a plan for the future. You don't have to quit at all. You just need to create a plan for the future. What do you want out of this work life? What do you want out of your real life? Spend some time assessing the pros and cons of staying or going. Get support and expert advice to walk towards a more positive future. Because as I mentioned, you're not only decreasing your quality of life now, you're taking days from the end of your life. And I know there's this part of us that can't imagine I can't imagine what life would be like on the other side. I will say that it is a lot better than what you're experiencing now because you are in control and you're doing your best work. So I found this image, and this is the image of men going in to clean the nuclear site at Chernobyl, which is an immensely toxic work environment. And I love this image because you see how much protection the men have. It's not enough, of course, but they are like suited up from head to toe, right? They even have oxygen tanks that they carry because it is so poisonous out there. And a couple of things. They are not spending months in Chernobyl cleaning out that waste dump. Not months. They do 1-hour shifts. So know your 1-hour shift, know what your capacity is, cover up, protect yourself, have resources that will support you before you go in and after you come out. Surround yourself with people that love you because you're doing really hard work, and time bound it. Like if you're willing, like if you're going to be in a toxic environment, don't like if you're going to be in a really toxic environment, allow yourself the permission to say, I'm going to do this, but I'm only going to do it maybe for 3 years. At the end of 3 years, I've done my time. So like have a real mindful way of processing what is happening in your workplace. So here's some resources. Books, love this book, Dying for a Paycheck. How Modern Management Harms Employee Health and Company Performance and What We Can Do About It. Braving the Wilderness by Brene Brown, love those. Crucial Conversations and Toxic Workplace, Managing Toxic Personalities and Their Systems of Power. Podcasts, I'm a big fan of podcasts. Safe for Work, The Anxious Achiever, Work Life with Amy, Adam Grant, and The Daily Stoic. So amazing. Some articles and online support groups. I love these support groups. Reddit has an awesome subreddit around workplace. LinkedIn has workplace bullying and toxic leadership subgroups. And then, of course, lots of Slack communities. So you're not alone. You're not alone. This is a huge problem. Remember, 17,000 people have been killed in workplace violence. So with that, again, thank you so much. I'm really passionate about this. I remember being alone a lot and facing this on my own. And how I feel is I want people to be supported as they go through toxic workplaces.
Thank you so much for that. I loved the nano boundaries.
Small baby boundaries,
Yeah. So I think we could probably open it up and see if there's some questions. Does that work out?
Yeah, that works
so
out.
So maybe raise your hand. I see some claps happening and all of that. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat.
Yeah, just to add to that, Megan, I'll say, look, some days our window of tolerance is huge, right? We just came back from a vacation. We had some amazing meals and mojito. We were refreshed. So 2-week vacation, you come back, your window of tolerance is huge. But life then happens and your window of tolerance shrinks and shrinks and shrinks. And then the work just hits it so hard over and over again. And it's like you don't have any more capacity, right? So what we want to do is just think about even tiniest bit of expanding that window of tolerance. And that might be going out for a walk in the middle of the day, listening to some soothing music, some way for us to just expand that window of tolerance so we can handle this just a little more.
Yeah. Are there any other questions? There's a lot of people thanking you. I don't know if you can see it.
I can see that. Thank you, Nikki. Wow, so good.
Yeah.
I'm so glad.
That was so comprehensive and so tangible. And so I don't know if there are questions. Feel free to speak up. Yes, Laura.
Not as much a question, but kind of a comment.
Laura, you said it so beautifully. It is what you are observing is mammalian behavior. As mammals, we kind of like spread it. It's almost like if one person in the group is nervous, everyone in the new group gets nervous because that's how our brain works. Because we're looking for what is going wrong, what is going wrong, what is going wrong, right? So what you sensed was like you mentioned, like it expels out of you into the ether. And that's just standard mammalian behavior because it's like kids. Kids pick up when mom is anxious.
And my words were not that. Yeah. But what, like, my whole being says that. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you, Laura. Great question, Tina. Here's my thought. There's so many different ways of addressing it. And I think Kelsey Grimm's presentation a few weeks back kind of addressed it a little bit, about psychologically safe workplaces. I will say, you can't do it alone as a counselor. You need HR, you need management, you need leadership that's all wanting to do that, right? You alone as a counselor cannot come and look at this system. It's basically a system. This entire system is not working effectively. One person within that system is the scapegoat, but usually the system is unhealthy. So you have to really lay the system out and say, okay, where are the problem areas? Where is their leadership? Like if you look at a parent, if mom and dad are very c'est la vie, blase, don't set the rules, usually the kid that gets the brunt of it is the consequences, because the parents are kind of c'est la vie about it. So in the same way within the corporate system, if leadership isn't standing by and HR isn't supporting, resources aren't there, they're not hiring enough people, like it's a bigger picture that needs to be laid out. And you as a counselor then says, look, it's not one person, it's the system that needs to be addressed.
I don't see any hands, and I see a comment saying you said it all. And you really did bring a lot of information forward there. So, and it's not an easy topic to bring forward at all. So we truly appreciate all of that.
Yeah.
If there's no more questions, I'm going to leave breathing room though.
Yeah. You know what? Maybe I can do a quick, a little technique to help kind of manage any anxiety you might have at work. How about that?
Sure.
Okay.
That's great.
All right. So, all right, everyone, close your eyes. I want everyone to imagine a container, right? This container has got really magical powers. It can hold your emotions, your thoughts, your feelings, and any body sensations that are related to anxiety or fear, can hold it all. Now, this is not where they go to kind of die. This is where they go and stay until you have more capacity to handle it, or your window of tolerance is a little wider. So imagine this box and make sure there's a lid on the box and there's a lock on the box. And tell all your different parts in your mind that you will address whatever is going in the box, in the container. Now I want you to look inside the container and make sure there's like cozy. It's really cozy for everything you put in. It's not like a stark, dark place. It's just really cozy. Okay. And now I want you to go to the other side of your container and I want you to put a little tap on it. This tap allows you to just pull out exactly what you need. Not so that everything doesn't come flying at you when you open the container. You just get to pull out whatever you need from this little tap. Okay. So everyone has a container in mind with a lock and a lid and a little tap on the side. Okay. Now I want you to think about, let's do a little experiment and see if it works. I want you to think about an apple. Okay. I want you to go ahead and put the apple in the container. Close the lid, put the lock on. Take a deep breath. I want you to go to the other side of the box and I want you to open the tap and see if you can allow the apple to come out. Okay, good. Now we're going to do a little bit more trickier experiment. From a scale of 0 to 10, 10 being horrible event and 0 being it's okay. I can handle it. I want to think of something like a level 2, a little irritation, something a little disturbing that happened to you this last 2 weeks. Okay. I want you to go ahead and I want you to feel those emotions, those thoughts that come up. And I want you to open the box and just allow it to go into the box, the container. And just like, imagine you're just brushing it up like a cloud, just pulling it all around, and you're going to let it float into the container. Okay. I want you to go ahead and check your body again and see if there's any residue. Where else are you feeling this emotion, this thought? I want you to go ahead and brush that to whatever's left over into the container. Good. Go ahead and close it. Put a lock on it. Good job. Okay, we're going to try a little harder. One last one. Scale of 0 to 10, a 4, something a little bit more disturbing. Okay, I want you to go ahead and find it in your body. Those thoughts, those feelings, those emotions. I want you to go ahead and gather them up and open the box, container, and allow it to go into the container. Just gently allow them. Let them know that when you're ready, when you have the capacity, you will work with them again. Okay. Go ahead, close the box, the container, put the lock on. Go ahead and take a deep breath. And come back into the room. When you're ready. Yeah. It's amazing how our mind does that little shift that happens in your body when you kind of create that window of tolerance a little bit more. I hope that was helpful.